So the Springfield 2020 rimfire. We did everything we could to make this thing shoot well without replacing the barrel. But ultimately it came down to that. And we're going to show you a bunch of stuff in this video. It's very, very long. At the end is shooting this gun. So if you want to see how it performs, that's at the end of it. We even have a little bit of machining process in the middle. We don't show you entirely how to make the barrel because I don't know if that will violate YouTube's policies. Because it's not making a firearm, we're just working on a barrel. Some of it you can imagine. We show you a little bit of the process and what makes it different than doing a standard barrel. Big spoiler alert, it's metric, and that's a challenge. At least for me it is. We tried to do everything we could, tried to make the scope better. It ended up shooting pretty well at the end. I'm actually happy with how it turned out. I'm used to shooting 6.5 Creedmoor, 6BR, and having a lot tighter groups at 100 yards. But I guess with 22, it's asking a lot at 100. At least that's what friends are telling me that compete in NRL. So YouTube took the video down because we violated terms and I didn't realize it. I know you can't put links to websites that sell stuff or give stuff away, but I made the mistake of just mentioning that we were giving stuff away. I can't say what we're giving away, and I did that in the video, and that's a no-no. Can't give you any hints of what we're giving away. But I did make a separate video announcing where you can find that information out, and I don't want to even talk about that in this video because I don't want to get in trouble. So let's see the differences and what we had to do. Now, Springfield had a good idea when they came out with these 2020 rimfires. It feels like a Remington 700. They feel great. They just shoot like crap, some of them. So in this video, we're going to talk about the barrel being done, what we had to do to get it done, adding a TriggerTech trigger to the receiver, and seeing if that helped with accuracy, and also what it took to install that trigger because they don't just drop right in, and then some other options of things you can do to make yours better. So first off, barrel's done. This is an Ace barrel blank. Those guys seem to be pretty cool and good to work with. Pro tip, order some bushings when you order your reamer, because I ordered up a 22 LR reamer. I've never worked on 22 LR barrels. And yeah, it came with a .2165 bushing, and that bushing did not fit, even though it's supposed to. So I ended up ordering a 2160 and a 2155. The 2160 ended up working perfect, so it was only a half thou undersize. But it cut nice, and it's head spaced. Big thing to make this happen, it is 19 millimeter by 1 threads. My lathe does not cut metric threads. I can't change gears. I don't have any way to do that on my lathe. That company is no longer in business that made my lathe, so it's not an option. So I did resort to buying a die and did it on a tailstock die holder. So it's good, it's fine. But I don't have the option of cutting metric threads. So if you're going to try and do this at home, make sure that you either can cut metric threads or that you order a 19 by 1 millimeter die. The thing to keep in mind is I use ring gauges to measure threads. I don't have any for this because they're expensive and I'm not going to buy them for one thing. But when I do, say, a barrel for a coup de grace American Rifle Company action, I trust that the internal threads are correct. And I know they will because it's a good company. Same thing with Terminus Zeus, any of that stuff, Bighorn. But I use ring gauges on my barrel tenons to make sure that they're the proper fit. Now, I don't have a ring gauge for this, and also this action, I have no idea if it's correct or not. You saw earlier that I had to tighten up the adjustable die to get it to fit, and it fits perfect now. Last night, I went ahead and threaded and crowned the muzzle end so we can get her installed and hopefully shoot it. I have a good feeling that this barrel's going to shoot well, I hope. One of the things that made this a challenge, actually, was this reversed cone breech face. I'm guessing, based on my measurements, that it's about it depends on how you look at it. It's either a 60 degree or a 30 degree. But I tried to make it identical to the original. I don't like the way that they did that, and I think the reason that they did that was to make it less expensive to machine. Because this way you can simply thread the barrel in, and you don't need to index anything. It has dual extractors. I can put a picture over here. You'll see on a Ruger 1022 type barrel, it has cutouts, clearance for the extractors. That's a simpler way to do it, but the barrel needs to be indexed. So Maybe if I make another one, I might try to do it that way. We'll have to play around and see. But the TriggerTech trigger, in order to make this fit, they advertise this as taking Remington 700 triggers, and it does. It uses a trigger hanger, which makes it nice and easy. They're very small threads, so I recommend a little bit of blue Loctite and don't over tighten them. Now, of course, there's no torque spec for these. Just be careful. But what I had to do to make it fit, we put it on the receiver and then went and put it in the stock, and you couldn't move the safety lever because there's not enough clearance inside the actual stock. And I'll take a picture of this and put it up right over here. You can see I didn't go crazy and be careful, and I didn't put it in the milling machine and mill it out and make it look pretty. I literally took a carbide burr and just went to town and hogged it out, and now it fits no problem. But first I tried adding a nice trigger and seeing if that would help accuracy. It didn't. It didn't make a difference. The gun still shot like crap. One of the things that I thought about, I was trying to figure out why this barrel shot so bad, and one of the things that I thought of, since my reamer, the pilot was too tight to fit that, I checked it in here and it fit no problem. And then I started to wonder if this was way oversized. Maybe the bore is too big and the bullet's just floating down like a hot dog down a hallway. And it's not the case because I used gauge pins and the bore is actually the right size. So that's not why. You know what? I have not bore scoped this barrel. I haven't looked inside it, and maybe I'll do that in the end. But if you have one of these, and like I said, it's a good platform to start with, and you want to build it and spend money and make it better without having to spend the money on, say, a Bagheera Action or something else high-end. One of the things that you can do, they claim it's a Remington 700 style action, so if you wanted, you're not limited to having that size. You could get something like a nice American Rifle Company chassis, and supposedly you can drop the action in here. It appears to fit. I have not tried bolting one of these up, but supposedly it fits. It looks like the holes line up, but that's going to be another issue. The screws that come in it are very small. I think they're M6s or M8s versus standard screws for a Remington 700 style action. So these are not going to work. You may have to use bigger washers. Maybe we'll play around with trying to put one of these in one of these chassis and see if they fit. But that would allow you to do a nice big beefy barrel. If you're going to stick with the original stock, you're limited to the barrel profile. So hopefully this girl's going to shoot. We'll take it out and see what it does. Now I got to do a shameless plug. I usually never do this. If you want to try to take on one of these projects, you can buy these, and I know a place. It's called That's actually my website. I usually put the little logo at the end, and we are a very small gun shop. We're not big, but that's our website. You can buy stuff directly on there, right from us. But you can get these at some of the lowest prices around. We're also going to give away. So we made a blueprint of the original barrel, and it is 30 millimeter in length. This part's 20 millimeter. This is a 19 millimeter thread, like we said before. This angle is going to be a little bit tough, but we'll figure that out as we get to it. First, we need to turn down the major diameter. We're at 810, need to come down to 787. is close enough for what we need, because it's supposed to be 30 millimeter. Or 20, it's supposed to be, that's supposed to be 20 millimeter. We're within a tenth, and that part's not a critical part. Now I'm going to scribe a couple lines, figure out where exactly I want to cut that next. Made our relief cut. Now I'll turn this down to 747 thou. .76, so we got to come in at 776. We got to get down to 747. So that is 29 thou. So we're coming to 15 thou. Do it 2 passes. That was 10 thou, so it should get us to 756 or 757. So we need another 10 thou, so 5. 5 plus a smidge. Should be just under 747. 745. So we're 2 thou under. That's fine. 2 thou is good. The reason I want to be a little bit under my major diameter is I'm cutting it with a die and I don't want it to have to work too hard. But it looks like I got to make that relief cut a little deeper. We're going to have to scribe another mark, because the total length on this tenon is going to be 30 millimeter. I'm actually going to set my stop for my carriage just a hair proud, so once I make my cuts, I can actually measure it. I'm a ½ mil short of my full depth, and a millimeter is 39.5 thousandths roughly, or 39.4 thousandths, or 394 10,000ths. So I know if I come in half of that distance, I should be right on the money. So we'll call it 19. Luckily, my carriage stop has a micrometer. Now we should be almost on the money. .30 3/10. I'll call that good enough. A tenth or two ain't gonna matter for what we're doing. We'll put a leading edge on that, and then we'll swap out our tailstock for our tailstock die holder. Wow, this is bending the handle on my tailstock die holder. I locked my low gears and high gears together. This is not the way I would prefer to cut this thread. That took a lot of cutting oil and a big pipe wrench. But we got threads. Now the question is, will our action screw on? She's snug. And that was an adjustable die. And now we're going to have to adjust it and do it all over again. I went big on purpose. But that die is adjustable. And we'll tighten it down and add some more cutting fluid and see if we can't get it a little better. Ended up having to tighten the die twice, taking about 1/1000 of an inch off each time. That got it perfect. Now it should thread on nice. That is threading on just like it should. A little snug right there in one spot. That could just be a little bit of debris, but no movement. All the way to the shoulder. Now we just got to cut our taper for our cone and set our headspace. So we managed to get the barrel done. We're going to test her out today. Hopefully it shoots better than before. If you saw part one of this, it was shooting about 5 inches at 100 yards. I'm not expecting 1/4 inch groups out of this. It's a little bit windy today, but I hope it shoots a little bit better, at least with all the effort I put into making this barrel. This is a Rebel silencer. Actually, it's 3 Rebel silencers put together. I don't even know if that company's still in business. They're really cheesy. At least this one is. But I just threw that on there for fun. We're trying to give this every chance we can. It's got the Trigger Tech trigger, a decent bipod, Arca rail. I forgot my good Game Changer rear bag at home, so I've got a smaller, cheaper rear bag. I couldn't afford a good optic. I can't put an S&B on everything, so I've got a Darken, which is not quite as good as an Arkin, but it's close. Let's see what it does. So this was so bad I couldn't even get it zeroed. It was all over the place. So I had to ditch the suppressor. I'm seeing all kinds of lead come out of there. I don't know if it's having internal baffle strikes. I don't know what's going on with it. But I was able to get it zeroed with mini mags so far. So first we're going to shoot 2 5-shot groups at target number 1 and number 2 with the mini mags and see what it does. Now remember, this thing shot 5-inch groups at 100 before, so anything better than that's an improvement. I wanted to use shoot and see targets, but I forgot to bring some. That's why I'm using the sticker dots. I don't remember if that was 4 or 5. We'll move on to number 2. Now let's try some Federal Gold Medal. Now those mini mags, I don't expect mini mags to be accurate. I'm going to put 5 rounds at a time this time, so I don't screw that up. This is definitely going to impact lower. How much lower, I don't know. So I'm going to aim at the first target in the second row. And maybe it'll come close to somewhere near a dot below that. Looks like an impact just left. Let's try some Aguila Subsonic. And we will go for dot number 2 in row 3. I cannot tell which one that is. It doesn't look terrible. A whole lot better than it was. Do have one shoot and see target that I did hang. Doesn't have a grid pattern. Since these are impacting a tiny bit high, I will try and use that just for 5 more shots and see what it does. That I can see. Well, it's not great, but this is only 3 count of ammo. Perhaps I can borrow some of that Ely stuff that a buddy of mine shoots. I'm not terribly impressed with it so far, and it really sucks that the suppressor threw everything way off. So I broke the barrel in a little bit more. Got my trusty Darkin back out here. I had an issue with that suppressor. It was horrible. And so we're not shooting suppressed today. But I got a buddy who gave me 3 more types of ammo to try. I've had really good luck with these in the past. And even these, the best I got was 5 inches. But with this barrel, I'm hoping it'll be better. We're going to start out with some SK Standard, then some Lapua Center X, then some Lapua Midas Plus. And let's see what it does. I got some high hopes. I remembered to bring my Armageddon gear bag this time. Game Changer is definitely a better bag. It's a little more stable. So here's going to be a 5-shot group of Standard Plus SK. We are going to go for the top left diamond. So far I'm not impressed. I'll do another group of that just to the right. So far it's looking about the same as the Aguila Subsonic. It's in the same hole. We should do that every time. Well, that's a little better than the last group. Let's do a third one just for fun. Third group's going to be the right diamond. Look at that. I pulled that one. I felt it right away. Not so bad. Now we're using Lapua Center X. Bottom left diamond. Wow. Don't know if that first shot on that group was me. So we'll do another one. This is again Center X. We will go bottom middle. do a third group. Center X, bottom right diamond. I made an adjustment slightly left just so I make sure they're not off paper. Because some of those last ones were hitting to the right. Ah, I pulled one. I knew it too. I felt it right when I broke the trigger. But still, that's shooting way better than that Springfield barrel did. I only zeroed it with the SK. Everything else I just left it, except for that last adjustment. So now we are going to move to the target on the right. I'm just going to take the one in the middle for the first group. Look at that. Oh, I can hear Scott already. Ah. Scott gets in my head. Still not terrible. Let's go bottom left. That's nice. Let's do one more. I do not claim to be a great shot. I do not claim to have amazing fundamentals. I don't compete. Well, not really. Wow. That's 4 into 1 hole. At 100 yards. I'm going to throw the suppressor on real quick, and we'll shoot another group and see what it does with that same ammo. I think it likes this Midas ammo. I'm going to aim at the center diamond. I know I should just stop at that 3-shot group right there, but I won't. 3 shots doesn't count. Scott, shut up. Oh, I dropped one. What can we aim at? What can we aim at? Let's take, I'm going to use the grid on the left of the diamond. Nailed it. That's exactly my aiming point. Look at that. Three shots in 1 hole. I'm going to cheat and leave that group alone. I know 3 shots doesn't count. It's just too pretty to mess it up. And I do believe that 5-shot groups are more valid than 3-shot groups. And the reason I cheated and left that 3-shot group standing, it was just really nice. And Springfield guarantees 3 shots, 100 inch at 50 yards. I just wanted to show how much better this barrel was. Granted, I know 3 shots doesn't really count, but that one was too pretty to mess it up. And I probably couldn't have done that without this darkened scope. I think I'm going to get rid of all my Schmidt and Benders, all my Gen 3 Razors, 6-36, my my Leupold Mark V HD 7-35s. I'm going to get rid of them all. I think I'm going to have to just use darken.